Okay, so in this chapter, we're going to be building a blog. All right, so we'll have an area for the post to display. Each post can be placed in a category. We're going to have an interface to add posts to the blog, as well as an interface to add categories. All right, now we're not going to build a complete backend or a login system, but you could just take the login system that we've built and implement it if you want. But to do that on top of the blog would just be too much for the project. So let's go ahead and let's see. We want to git bash to our projects directory. Okay. And we're going to use Express, so let's go ahead and say Express node blog. Okay, so that'll be the name of the application. If we go to projects, now you should have a node blog folder, and you have the standard default Express files and folders. Now we want to open package.json and list our dependencies. Let's make the version of this 1.0. And then you can see that we have Express added, Jade. We want to add a few more. Now we're going to be using MongoDB for this. So we need Mongo, and we want the latest version represented with an asterisk. Whoop, that should be a comma. Now in the last project, we used MongoDB, but we used a module called Mongoose to do the interaction, to create the user model, things like that. For this project, we're going to use something called Monk, which is very similar but has a bit of a different syntax. So, oh, actually, this Mongo should be MongoDB. Sorry about that. All right, and then we want Monk, and that should be a colon. Okay, so what else are we going to use? We're going to use the Connect Flash module so that we can display messages when we want. A lot of these will be used in every project we do, like the Flash, the validator. We want Express validator. We want the Express session, because I believe you need that if you want to have Flash messages. We want Express messages. And we're going to be able to upload an image with each blog post, so we're going to use Multer for that. Alright, and finally we're going to use something called Moment, and that is so that we can translate the dates of the posts, because by default they're in horrible, very unreadable formats. Alright, I think that should be it. So let's go ahead and save, and then we need to go into the node blog folder, and we need to type npm install. That'll go ahead and install Express, Jade, Mongo, and all the other dependencies. Alright, so now that those are installed, we can set up the app.js file. Okay, so we want to make sure that every module we want to use is included. I'm going to go right under logger, and we're going to add the validator. So we want variable express validator, and that's going to be equal to require express validator. Alright, and then under the cookie parser, we want the session. So session Alright, next is Mongo. So variable Mongo is require MongoDB. Okay, and now we want to include Monk. So variable Monk. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to create a DB variable. So DB equals require Monk. And then next to that, in parentheses, we want the database. So it's going to be under localhost slash node blog. Okay, which we still need to create, by the way. And let's see, Malter. A lot of this stuff is pretty repetitive and can get quite tedious, but it just has to be done. So this one is Flash. I mean, I could have just had this already made, but I don't know. I think that when you're first learning stuff, you should actually type it out, even though it's a pain, and you could just, you know, keep one file for all your projects, but I think you can really understand it better if you actually type everything out. Alright, so let's save that. Before I go any further, let's just create our database. So we're going to open up a Windows command prompt as administrator, and we want to go, let's see, we'll go to the root and then to MongoDB /bin, and then we should be able to say Mongo. Alright, so let's say show DBs. All we have is, besides the local, we have our node auth that we did in the last project. So now we want to create a new database, and all we need to do is say use node blog. Alright, so that created a database called node blog, and we're using it. And I want to create two collections. So we'll say db dot create collection, and this one's going to be called posts. Alright, and then we're going to create another one called categories. Alright, and we're using NoSQL, so we don't have to create any kind of schema at the database level. So that should actually be fine for now. So what we need to do now is set up the middleware. And instead of typing it all out, I just put it in a text file because it can get kind of tedious. We're using a lot of the same middleware for each application. So there should be a file called middleware.txt, and I'll just paste them in one by one. Alright, so the first one here is for Malter. Alright, I'm going to put that right under the view engine, and basically we're just calling it and we're setting the destination folder. Okay, so this is the location where images will go when they're uploaded, because the blog post will have an image upload field. So what you want to do now is just create that uploads folder. So inside of public images, we want to create a new folder and call it uploads. Alright, next piece of middleware, where'd it go? Oh, is for sessions, express sessions. So we'll copy that, and I'm going to put that right below the cookie parser. And we're just setting some options here and the secret. If it's a production application, you don't want to use secret as a secret. Alright, so that's for sessions. The next one is for the validator. Okay, express validator. So I'm going to put that right under the session. Alright, and that's just going to make it so that we can have our errors nice and formatted. Next one is, no, not the last. Next one is for Flash. And that's basically to be able to have messages. Alright, so if you log out, then you'll get a message saying you logged out. Things like that. Which we'll probably use in just about every project. So I'm going to put that right under the public, where we define the static public directory. And we're just setting a global variable called messages. Alright, so we can access that in any view. Alright, and then the last thing is going to be this DB function. And this is basically making it so that we can access our database in any route. And I'll put that right here. Okay, so that is basically it for the app.js. I mean, we might have to add a few other things down the road, but this is good for now. So save that. And let's just make sure that we can run the application. So we'll say npm start, and we can't. Cannot find module express validator. Wait a minute, did we actually install them? Oh, we didn't, did we? Huh. Let's try. We did though, unless I didn't specify it in the packages file, did I? Express validator. Oh, okay, up here in this require, this shouldn't be like this. It should be dash lowercase v validator. So save that and let's try again. Alright, so it's running. Let's check it in the browser. This is last chapter's project. So reload, and there we go. So we have our Express site up and running. And I was going to set up the template in a separate video, but we still have some time. And it's not going to be anything spectacular. It's just a real simple template. And I know we used Bootstrap before, and we'll probably use Bootstrap a lot more through the projects. But I just wanted to do just a regular custom HTML design. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. It's not going to be difficult. So we'll go to Views, and we want to open up layout.jade. Alright, so that's the default code. We just want to add a few things. Alright, so for the title, set that to node blog. Alright, this is going to the style sheet, which is fine. Body, under body, let's put in a container. And actually, I want to reset all the tabs. You want to make sure that you're using either just tabs or just spaces.